Welcome to the Morning Market Call. I'm Greg Lee. Joining me today is Janessa Cloward.
Hi, Greg.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Now, for those of you who were watching last week, you know that Janessa was sitting in this seat. So this is actually her first time as a guest on the show.
It's kind of different being in the hot seat.
It is a little different. My job's the easy one. So this week we're talking about healthcare, healthcare reform in general, what the impacts will be. What will healthcare reform mean to business in general?
Well, the healthcare industry in particular is going to see some big changes, and no one really knows what to expect.
Okay.
But one example is the pharmaceutical companies. Now, these companies invest very heavily in R&D to come up with new drugs. And the only way for them to sort of get their investment back is to charge high prices under patent protection for, right now, the window's 12 years. And one of the provisions of the healthcare bill is to shorten this window, which is great for people who need these medications who can't afford the high price, but not so great for the companies who need to get their investment back. And
it sounds like then, without being able to recoup the R&D expenses, that we're going to see less R&D.
Right, that could be a problem. Less R&D means less innovation, and it might be harder to come up with these drugs that we need to cure diseases.
So it also sounds like America, we can't have our cake and eat it too.
I don't know that we can, sadly.
That's too bad. So we talked a little bit about pharmaceuticals. What does the insurance industry think?
Well, right now the insurance industry is sort of the brunt of this bill.
Okay.
They're an easy target for both the government and the public because everyone complains about their really high insurance costs.
Right.
So one thing that's probably going to be part of the reform is getting rid of the restrictions against people with pre-existing conditions.
Okay.
So let's say you've had diabetes since you were 5 or 6, and you get a new job, and your insurance in that job might not cover your diabetes because it's a pre-existing condition. You already had it, which means you're going to pay higher prices for insulin or visits to your doctor.
Okay. So once those are covered, then the cost will just be passed on to the rest of us, right?
Right.
Okay.
We'll all be paying for each other's conditions.
Okay. What do hospitals think? Hospitals have had a rough go recently.
They have. In 2008, actually, a third of the nation's hospitals were running on a loss.
Okay.
And a big part of this is because people come into emergency rooms, for instance, without insurance, and they still get treated, but nobody is paid for that treatment. And that makes up 20% of hospitals' revenues. So they're losing a lot of money here. And on the surface, the bill seems to be fixing this problem, but it doesn't really provide a near-term solution, so it might not be fixed as soon as we'd like it to be.
Okay. We've talked a little bit about some of the winners and some of the losers so far. Who are the real winners, though, in getting this reform passed?
I think the biggest winners are definitely President Obama and also the Democratic members of Congress who have really been passionate about this bill.
Okay.
It's part of the reason they were elected, and whether or not you agree with what the bill's doing to the industry, I don't think you can doubt their intentions. They're legitimately trying to give people better care.
Yeah, they're trying to increase care and help everyone out.
Yeah, and I think that's great. Even though there's some parts of the bill that might not be ideal for the industry, it's good for the citizens in general. And another big winner here, as I mentioned before, are people with those pre-existing conditions, because those can be very expensive diseases, and now they finally have assistance to pay for them.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think everyone's intentions are good in healthcare reform. The question is just the best way to get it done, and that's where all of the disagreement lies.
Right.
Interesting. Outside of the healthcare industry itself, though, what will be some other impacts?
Well, one of the provisions of the bill is a company can opt out of providing health insurance for its employees by paying $750 per year per employee. Now, right now, they're paying around $2,500 on average to provide health insurance for those employees. So this is a much cheaper way to take care of your employees, especially if you're a small business. There's not really much incentive to provide insurance. So even though the bill says that we can choose our insurers, it might not actually be the case if companies stop providing other options for us.
Yeah, an unintended consequence. I mean, I'm going to pick the $750 per employee rather than the $2,500.
Right.
So.
It just makes more sense. And also, because of that, healthcare might become more expensive for young people like you and I who tend to be healthy because we'll be paying for other people's conditions.
Right. And also, there seems to be a shift to preventative care and things like that, too, right?
Right, which is probably good if we all take better care of ourselves. Maybe a good benefit of this bill, a positive externality, if you will, would be a healthier America.
Absolutely.
Which is always a good thing.
That would be a great thing. Well, Janessa, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us today.
You're welcome.
And thank you, viewers, for joining us on the Morning Market Call. We'll see you next time.
The Morning Market Call is a production of the Marriott School of Management at Brigham Young University and is made possible by generous donations from Larry Kashjan and Gary Williams. This webcast was produced by Greg Lee, Tim Hart, Julie Kellett, and Jonathan Marucci.